So we're up to week 4 of our functional strength. I brought a chair in today because I want us to see how we can adapt other exercises. There may be exercises in the different recordings that you feel maybe you'd prefer to be seated for. Plus, it's going to be an opportunity for us to have some support. So yes, if you don't have a suitable, stable chair, I have to say this isn't the strongest chair in the house, but still, for some of the work, use the kitchen worktop, use the back of a stable table or something like that. And then with the seated work, you need to know that you are completely safe. So please don't have a chair that's on wheels and goes whizzing off and away, something like that. Now I'm going to change the format today just to keep, a bit of variety and hopefully a bit of interest. So whereas historically we've done the 4 exercises, we've been timed, we've had our timed rest and then repeated. Today we're just going to keep going and we're going to be aiming to do 10, 12, 15 repetitions of each movement. So I want you to start, take a seat. You're going to need a mini loop and I propose small, well, you definitely need small weights. You don't need a heavier weight, but if you want to have heavy weights and it's handy, that's absolutely fine. All right, so take a seat, feet are flat on the floor, arms are down by your sides, and let's just get some movement going here. Reaching up to one side and center and over. Now, when we warm up, when we mobilize, obviously what we're trying to do here is prepare the body for exercise. But we're also, or certainly in my warm-ups, I'm thinking about the movements we're going to be doing and prepping. So here we're going to be going into a weighted side bend later. So I want you to think already about your technique. So as you come over to this side, you're heavy on this side. Your feet are flat, your knees are stable. As you come over, watch you don't hunch your shoulder up. Sit heavy onto this sit bone as you reach down. Let's do that one more time each way. So really trying to get that lovely bended shape through the spine. Up and one more time to the other side. And come back to your center. And I want you just to come into Cossack arms and come into a spine twist. Now, as you're doing this again, we're just warming up here. So don't worry about going too far, but have a little look down at your knees. Make sure that your knees stay in line. They're not trying to shuffle forward and backward. So again, keep it true to the rotation of the spine, not that you're letting your pelvis travel. Excuse me. Let's do a couple more in each direction. I want you to spiral and grow taller and taller. Push the crown of your head up towards the ceiling. Let's just do that one more time to each side. And then come back to your center. Okay, bring your hands onto your knees and just take a nod of your chin and slide your hands down your legs and really enjoy that lengthening through your lower back. So we're just doing our seated roll down and roll back up and sit tall. Let's do that one again. And again, it's just another way also to think about maybe fitting in a little bit of mobility, a little bit of stretch into everyday life. So you're a bit busy, you've got lots going on. Maybe you're sitting at your desk, you're doing some work and you're just feeling a bit tight and a bit cranky through that back. So this is just the way without even having to bother leaving your desk, just to get everything mobilized, stretched out. Let's do this one more time. Okay. And just coming back up. And lastly, I want you please just again to come into Cossack arms. If you need to hold the sides of the chair, that's 2 is an option. Otherwise you're here and we're just going to march. Okay, now ridiculous that it may seem, this can be much more challenging than it looks because I want you to avoid tipping back. So you've got to really get into the front of the pelvis, into those hip flexors. So we're just climbing the stairs here. It's a very familiar exercise, but I want you to be mindful of the length through the spine, getting into those quads, into the front of the pelvis. Let's do 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. And now from here, just bring one foot back. Let your knee hang to the floor and just tuck your tailbone underneath you and just lengthen out through the front of the pelvis there. Bring your leg back in and onto the other side. You don't have to shuffle about. My seat's quite narrow, so it's quite easy for me. You may need to shuffle about a little bit. Okay, let's get to work. So we're going to start standing using the back of the chair as a support. So again, obviously adapt here. Mine's pretty stable. Hands onto the kitchen worktop or a kitchen table, whatever's best for you. Actually, it's not that stable, is it? But anyway, there we go. Now, what I want you to do, please, is put the band around your feet like so. This is going to get quite intense. So if you decide to take the band away and work without, that is absolutely fine. Chair out in front of you. Let's start just with the right leg, okay? Now we're going to pull the right foot back and in. In fact, you know what? I'm going to change this. Put it around your ankles. Sorry. It's going to slip off if it's on the feet. Let's put it around the ankle. Sorry. Okay, right leg only. Now you can slightly bend the left leg. And what I want you to do is pull back and in 5. Straight back in 4. It's going to really get into the hamstrings, secondary into the glutes. 2, 1. Now rotate, turn your foot away and pull again. 5, 4. Squeeze those abs. 3, 2. We've got 2 more rounds, 1 more round to go here. Straighten your foot up, pull back again. 5. Starting to feel the front of the opposite leg working as well. 3, 2, 1, and rotate. Turn out. 5, 4. Squeeze those glutes, squeeze those abs. 2, 1, and bring your foot to the floor. Let's go straight onto side 2. So feet parallel, pull back. So my standing leg is slightly bent, and my opposite leg is parallel as I push that leg away. 2, 1. Now I'm going to rotate, turn my foot out. So we did this one in the Friday class. When you rotate, much more focus into those glutes, isn't there? 2, 1. Straighten your leg back up. And again, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And rotate your foot out again. Let's go. 5, 4. Keep that standing leg soft through the knee. 2, 1, and come back. Now take your feet out wide. Just stick your bottom out and give those hamstrings and those glutes a little bit of a stretch there. Well done. Fabulous. And back up. Now leave the band where it is. Turn the chair around and we're going to sit to stand. The first 1 or 2, you may need to just prod around so that you know where the chair is. So obviously the further away from the chair, the bigger the range. So you might want to shuffle further in, and we're just going to sit down and stand up. Now you can bring a weight into your chest. If the weights are handy and you want to hold a weight into your chest, that's fine. Feel free to work without. Totally up to you. Technique is much more important here. Let's get those quads and those glutes working. Great work. If you're feeling stressed through your knees, maybe try and bring your heels a little closer, but really send those hips right out behind you. Now let's do another 5 or 6. And this time, can you sit down, but don't put any weight there? Just hover and come back up. But don't cheat by then folding over. So you're still trying to sit down, but don't actually put weight there. So make sure your sit bones meet the chair, but light as you can. Let's do another 3. And stand. 2. And stand. 1. And stand. Whew, and take a seat. Quite a lot of focus there into the lower body. We're going straight into the next exercise. Shuffle the band down around your feet, and we're going into marching. Now again, if you want the additional challenge of holding some weight here, totally up to you, or empty-handed. Hands to the side of the chair will give you more support. Arms in front of you, more challenge, and you're just going to lift. So we did this one in our warm-up, and that's when I was talking about making sure that we don't lean back. So as you march, I want you to squeeze those ribs, slide those ribs in and down. Press your belly button into your backbone and march. Lift, 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 lift. Each time you lift, keep your knees in line and really work at pulling against that band. Let's go for 10. 9, sit tall, watch you don't slouch. 7, 6, last 5, 4, and 3, 2, 1, and relax. Okay, relax being a relative term. Come back up onto your feet, wiggle the band back up around your ankles, and we're going to do another little round. Okay, so it's slightly different from the timed repeated rounds that we did in the previous 3 weeks, but we are going to do another round. So the band is around the ankles, bend the left leg, right leg, foot parallel, and kick out for 10, 9, 8, 7. Now, each time you push your leg back, squeeze those abs. Make sure you're not taking any stress into your back. 3, 2, 1. Rotate your foot out and another 10. Turn your toes right out away from you. Halfway, another 5. Push. 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring that foot in straight onto side 2. Bend the standing leg, working leg straight and push out. 10, 9. It's such a great one for building strength into the back of the thigh, into the glutes. Another 5, 4, 3, 2. Keep going. Rotate your foot, turn it away and push. 10, 9. Remember your standing leg is bent. Bend a little deeper if you like, but just make sure that you don't lock your knee out. Another 5. Otherwise, your knee joint will be doing all the work. 3, 2, 1, and relax. You might have had a couple of extra ones there. Sorry, I lost count because I was chatting. Option to pick some weights up or not. And we're going to sit to stand. Now, this time, all of them, try not to put any weight down. But again, watch, you're not just here, okay? You're actually going to sit down. Let's go for 10 to 15 repetitions. Little seat, stand tall. And stand. Great. Now, by all means, bring your arms out in front to counterbalance the weight if you need to. You got the weight into your chest if you wish. That's totally up to you. Obviously, 100% functional. This one goes without saying, doesn't it? Excellent work. Should we do another 5? If you feel you've done enough and you want to take a seat, that's completely fine. Let's do 3. I can't count. We all know that. 2, 1, and take a seat. Wiggle the band down. It's going to be around your feet. Weights, again, totally optional. Feel free to hold onto the side of the chair if you prefer. And we're going to march. I want you to really feel the load into the front of the thighs. I want you to squeeze those abs. Let's try and go for another 12, 15 on each side. Sit tall as you can. Be careful not to slouch. Goodness me, hear my mother's voice there. Lengthen up through that spine. Shoulders relaxed and down. Squeeze those abs. Pull against the band. Fantastic work. Obviously, I'm not counting. Well, I sort of am. Let's go. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Last 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And relax. Okay. Pop the weights down if you had them. Take the band away. Let's go into that stretch that we did at the start. So shuffle over to one side of the chair, drop your knee down, and just slide your knee back without arching your back. So just it's a nod to a quad stretch. It's not as intense as some of them that we do, but it's certainly good enough for what we've just been working on here. Okay, recover. Let's go to side 2. Drop that knee down, and then gently push your knee back behind you, behind your hip. Superb. Okay, relax. Now, we're going to go for light weight. We'll give the lower body a bit of a recovery. This is an option, actually. If you want to leave it, it's fine. But I would suggest maybe get your band, put it up around your knees, and it's a great way to feed back that you're not shuffling. It's an option. Don't do it if you don't want to. It's fine. Okay, and then we're going to work with light weights. We're going to be going to spine twist with a diagonal extension. So arms are here. Feel free to put the weights down if you haven't got super light weights, because they'll get quite heavy quite quickly. Lengthen up through the spine. Feet are flat to the floor. And we're going to rotate away and reach that arm across. Pull back and rotate. So as I turn to my left, I'm bringing my right arm across me. So I really want you to feel into the lats underneath the shoulder blade and rotate, reach across. Keep it super slow. Now watch that your knees stay in line. Really work on that rotation through the middle spine. Super slow gives us a little bit more challenge. We're building endurance. Don't think that by having lighter weights, you are not building strength. I can assure you, you are. I'm using the lightest weights that I've got, and I can already feel the challenge here. Work on that rotation and then extend your arm and reach it away from you. Now, remember how we prepped. Watch that you're not rocking from sit bone to sit bone. Let's do one more on each side, and then we're going to go straight into the next exercise. Okay? Come back to the center, hands are palms facing forward, and push straight up, pull down for 10. Again, you might get to 6 or 8 and feel that's enough for you, and that's absolutely fine, all right? Remember, try not to let your knees collapse in. Push against the band if you're using one. Sit tall. Let's do another 5, but you don't have to do as many as I'm doing. Lengthen up through your spine. Last 3. Breathe out as you push away. Breathe in on the way down. One more. Take both arms out long and scissor. 10, 9, 8, 7. Keep your arms in front of your chest. 4, 3, 2, 1, and take it away. Woo, no one's thinking about how much their legs are aching. Okay, roll out those shoulders. So we are going to repeat that one, but before we go into it, we're going to go into a second exercise. So what I want you to do is put both weights into one hand, just to give you more load on that side. Other hand to the back of your head. Now, let me just show you, because I don't want you to unbalance. You're going to come over to one side and back up, but this sit bone stays glued to the floor, to the chair. This knee will give you some feedback. Let's go over and center. We're aiming to do 10 to 15 repetitions. Obviously, you don't have to have both weights in one hand. You could just have a single weight, needless to say, and you could have no weight at all. Now, as I reach over to my right, I'm pressing consciously down into my left sit bone. So obviously what I mean to say by that is I hope you are too. Over, lift that elbow to the ceiling as you flex over to the side. Pull that elbow up to the ceiling. Let's do another 5, and can we go a tiny bit further? And 4, come on, flex up and over. Last 3. 2 more. Great work. And again. And we come back to the center. Let's swap it over. Opposite hand, straight into it, up and over. Reach over. Good, good, good. And again. Fabulous. So really heavy through those sit bones. Just ask your spine to bend over to the side. Watch with your upper elbow. It's not sneaking forward. Pull it back. Pull it up to the ceiling. So you stay open through your chest. Let's do another 5, shall we? But again, adapt if you need to, so long as you do the same amount on both sides. 3. And 2. And 1. And come back. What I'm going to ask you to do is just to put the weights down, just a couple of arm circles in each direction. Fabulous. And we're going to do that one again. Great work, everybody. Okay, so we're going to go back into our rotation, into our diagonal punch, into our shoulder press, into our scissors. So a lot of upper body strength. Again, round 2, if you need to work empty-handed, if that's better for you. Let's start. Now, I've just noticed here that my knees are starting to collapse in, so I'm just going to adapt that. Think about pushing into the band, equal weight. Also here, watch that your wrist doesn't flop over. Knuckles to the ceiling, stay long through the wrist. So we're going to rotate to side 1 and then push that arm right out. Pull back, center, rotate. Take that arm right out across the diagonal, pull it back to the center, rotate, push that arm right out. Pull it back and rotate. Push that arm away and back. And again, reach across. Now, really work here on spinning those ribs and not taking your hips with you. Gently, if you've got a band, gently press into the band, and that will give you a lot of support through the lower body. Let's do 2 more to each side. It'll give you a lot of support through the lower body so that you can isolate that middle spine, get that rotation. 1 more each side. So a lot of work through those muscles around the waist, getting into the chest, into the shoulders. Okay, come back to your center, straight into your shoulder press. Push away and recover. Breathe out, push out. Breathe into lower. And again. So hitting the shoulder muscles here, keeping connected through the lower body by not letting the knees fall in. Breathe in on the way down. Wrists are long. Great work. Okay. Let's do another 5. And 4. Superb. And 3. Last couple. And again. Okay, you ready? Let's wrap this one up. Arms out long. Keep your arms close, so don't take them wide apart. Cross, cross, cross. Sit tall, don't lean back. Push into the band. Cross. 10, 9. Sit tall. 8, 7. Wonderful. Try not to separate your shoulder blades. Keep that connection across your upper back. Squeeze those abs. 4. Arms are straight. Don't bend those elbows. 2, 1. Woo. And roll it out. Super. Roll out those shoulders. Both weights into one hand. Okay, equal weight through those sit bones. Other hand, you can leave it down if you prefer. Otherwise, your hand to the back of your head. And up and over we go. And center. Now, really heavy into the sit bone of the side that you're flexing away from. Squeeze into the waist on the short side. And again, up and over. Great work. Don't worry, we've got some lower body work coming up. Okay, let's do 5 more. And 4. Super. Last couple. And 1 last one coming up. And return. Let's swap it over. You ready? Up and over we go. Squeeze into your waist. Keep that elbow pulled back. And press into the opposite sit bone. So whereas we were going through whereas we were doing rotation of the spine, keeping the pelvis quiet, now we've got that lateral flexion, that sideways bend of the spine, again, making it spinal, not pelvic. So sit bones stay glued to the floor. Chair, you know what I mean, sorry. Let's do 5. Chair. 3, 2, and 1. I'm trying to very casually glance at my notes without it being obvious, but it's no good. I'm going to have a proper look. Put the weights down, take the band away, and I want you just to do a couple of large circles. And also, you may just want to just bring one knee in and just take a stretch. If you did have a band, you were pushing into the band, maybe just a little release there. Pull that knee across. Well done. Okay, so next one, we're going back to lower body focus. To start with, again, as always, weights are optional. You're going to just lean back and we're just marching like so, like a little trotty pony. So you're going to really get into the hip flexors, but I want you to feel your abs working. If you don't feel safe holding the weight, if you feel that's putting stress through your spine, then don't worry, hold on to the side of the chair. Otherwise, slightly lean back and just lift and lower. And I want you to really squeeze those abs. Just little lift and lower, lift and lower. See if you can do 50, which sounds a lot, but you know, we're going pretty fast. We're about halfway already. Hit the front of the hip, but really feel those abs. You start thinking, oh, I don't really feel the abs. And then it's a bit of a, oh yeah, no, I do actually. Let's do 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh, and relax. Okay, now Again, the weight, as always, optional. And I want you to take one leg straight out. So whereas that set was just really very much hip flexors, and I hope you did feel sort of the lower abdominal area. Now, my goodness me, this one hits the quads. Now, some of you with the Friday class, you know how we do the seated work and we lift our leg up and over, the weight on the floor. Very similar approach here. Don't lean back. Now, if you need to, if your chair is suitable, you can sit right back into the back of the chair, fine, as long as you're not sitting back. My one's not appropriate for that. And you're going to lift and lower. Aiming for 10 to 15. Lift and lower. Now, my knee doesn't look straight on the screen, but I promise you it is. And you want to try and get your knees level with each other if you possibly can, and you're not leaning back. Lift and lower. So this is such a good quad strengthening exercise. We did a lot in the hamstrings, if you remember when we were doing the standing work, pushing into the band, now balancing it out. I think we've got about another 3 or 4. Ooh, I'm going to do one more here. And relax. Same leg, bend your knee, take your knee down, drop, and just open through the front of the hip there. Okay, so a bit of a spicy one, that one. Great work. Bring it back in. Are you ready? Side 2. So don't forget, you don't have to have a weight. Hold the side of the chair. What is important is that your spine stays upright. You're not tipping back. If you tip back, you're using your hip joint to support you. You're not getting the quads to work. Opposite leg out long. Are you ready? Let's go. So make it quads dominant. Keep your foot parallel. As you lift, breathe out, breathe into lower. Squeeze the front of the thigh with every lift. We're also strengthening through the back of the body. We're strengthening the abdominal muscles, strengthening the back extensors because we're sitting upright, because we're not leaning back. So we're fighting that sort of that pull, if you like, to try and tip us backwards. So we're working through the center of the body as well. Can we do another 3, maybe 4? And 3, and 2, and 1, and bend your knee. Just drop that knee down. Fabulous work, well done. I picked a heavier weight up just because it's handy, but you could have had both your smaller weights. Now we're going straight from lower back to upper. We're going into an isolated bicep curl. This is very much a bodybuilding sort of appearance. Take your feet a little bit wider and bring your upper arm on one side, rest it onto your thigh, pure isolation. So I've got both weights in one hand because I'm happy to go a little heavier, needless to say, single weight if that works for you. So you've got your upper arm resting. So my elbow is just to the inside of my thigh, and then curl. Just bend it right in. Nothing else here. So hence the name isolation. So whereas sometimes we're here, we're standing or whatever, we're trying not to rock, no such luck here. We've only got this to think about. So it does make it a little bit more intense. So you will decide as you're working whether you want to go a little bit heavier, but obviously there is more work to come. Let's do another 5. And 4. Think of the angle. Make sure that the hand comes up to the shoulder. 3, 2, 1. Now stay with me. I'm just going to twizzle around. Okay, now bring your legs back together. You may want to put one weight down because the triceps are smaller, not quite as strong. Leaning forward, lift that arm right out and it's straight. Hinge in and straighten. And I want a little pause to really get straight into the back of the upper arm. Hinge in, push out. Hinge in, push out. So typically we don't fully straighten that arm and we don't hit those triceps. So squeeze the back of the upper arm, strong through your center. Hinge in, put one weight down, work with one weight, work with a smaller weight. Squeeze. Let's do 5 more. And 4. Squeeze. And 3. And 2. Straighten at the top. And 1. Push away and recover. So there's a tendency to just be slightly bent. You've got to get that arm straight to really get into those into the back of that upper arm. Shall we go to side two then? Okay, so you're bringing your elbow to the inside of your thigh, leaning forward and into your bicep curl. Fabulous. Well done. Bend in and open. Great work. You may feel you can go heavier, so always adapt. Once you've sort of got an idea of where we're going, the kind of range that we're doing. And this is called supersetting, where we link moves without recovery. Go straight from one exercise into another. It's called supersetting. What we're doing is we're working front to back or side to side. So as one side gets to recover, the other side is having to work. Let's do another 6, 5, 4. I always feel very Arnie when I'm doing this. 3, Arnie, not army. 2, 1. Okay, we're going into our tricep extension. So bring your chest forward, knees back together. Lift that arm. Now start with a straight arm and we bend in, push out. Bend in and squeeze. A tiny little pause at the top and really work at getting that arm straight as you can. Squeeze. When you send your arm straight out, squeeze the back of the upper arm. Squeeze. Wonderful. And again. Let's do another 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And recover. Fabulous work. Put the weights to the floor. Just circle those arms out and around. Well done. Great work there. Okay. Yes, I'm afraid we do have to do that one again. All right. So we're going to go into our single leg raise. Now this time around, we're going to do a few less. So we're supersetting. We're going straight from one exercise into the next. If you want to work a little more quickly, do a few more. That is fine. Otherwise, whereas before we were aiming for 10 to 15, this time aim for 8 to 12. Okay, weights optional. Sit tall, one leg straight out. Are you ready? You're going to lift and lower. Flex that foot. Push your heel away from you. Squeeze those abs. Okay, we know that we go from this one straight to the second side, then to our biceps, then to our triceps. Push that heel away, sit tall, watch you're not leaning back. 4 more. 3, squeeze the front of the thigh. 2, 1, a little bend of that knee, just drop that knee down just for a second, just so that it doesn't cramp up. Okay, let's go side 2. Opposite leg long, flex your foot, sit tall. Are you ready? Let's go straight into it. Again, very much isolated. Of course, we're working through the center as I referenced earlier, but a lot more focus here because we don't have to think about holding ourselves if we're standing or whatever. And again, we've done this one sitting on the floor. As you can imagine, that one poses a little bit more challenge because this leg's also got to be out straight. But you can see here that you need to work through your center to stop you slouching or tipping back. Let's do 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bend your knee, drop your knee in behind you. Little release there through the front of the hip. Okay, bring that foot back. Take your feet apart. Let's go into our bicep isolation. So the elbow to the inside of the leg and curl up. 8 to 12 repetitions. If you're working lighter and you're thinking, I want a bit more challenge, don't fully straighten your arm. Take it to 3/4 and squeeze. Squeeze at the top. Squeeze. When you bend your elbows, squeeze the biceps. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Take your arm away, bring your legs in together. Lift your arm out, leaning forward. Let's go straight into tricep extension. Squeeze. Same side here, squeeze. And again, remember at the top to squeeze the back of the upper arm and really ask that elbow to extend. We're about halfway now. Let's try and do another 4 to 6. Well done. I'm going to do 2 more. And again. And come back up. Super. Little roll out of that shoulder. Let's go on to side 2. So bring your elbow to the inside of the thigh and into it again. 8 to 12 repetitions. Well done. Squeeze at the top. Breathe out as you bend. Halfway. Great work. Squeeze at the top. Let's do another 4 and 3. Well done. 2 and 1. Okay, so bring your legs back in together. Little roll out the shoulder if you need to. Bring your arm out long. I'm going to twizzle around straight into your tricep extension. So hinge in, push away. Keep that elbow high. Straighten that arm out long. Bend at the elbow. Push out. Extend strong. Squeeze the back of the upper arm. Every time your arm goes long, it's a tiny pause. And it just gives you enough time to check that you can squeeze the back of that arm. There's to another 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring it back in. Wonderful work. Okay, put the weights down and just circle those arms out. We've got one more exercise that I'd like us to do. So we're going to go back to our lower body. All right, so grab your band, please. And you're going to put the band around your ankles. Sorry, all that noise. Okay, and what we're going to do, let me show you. We're going to step out 1, step out 2, step in 1, step in 2. When you step out, try not to let this leg lose its support. Okay, so feet are flat on the floor, sitting tall. If you want to have another weight here, go for it. That's fine. Otherwise, maybe you're holding the side of the chair. Otherwise, your arms are in Cossack. Let's go. Step out 1, step out 2, step in and in. Change the leading leg. Step out, step in and in. Change the leading leg each time. Step and in. So you're resisting. So this leg resists and then this leg resists. So each part of the 4-point maneuver has its own purpose. Step wide, step narrow. This chair is getting very creaky. Not sure I trust it after today. I think I might be thinking about an alternative. Step and in and again. So feel those glutes working now. Tops of the thighs, quads as well, but definitely into the outer hip. Great work. Can we do 4 more rounds? If you've done enough, as always, have a breather. But we've got 2 more rounds. Let's do this. Come on. Out, out. Step in, sit tall, sit tall, sit tall. Step out, out. In. Now, step wide, and bring your knees in. Push out 10. In. Push out. Keep your feet flat. In. Sit tall. Squeeze here. Pull in. Out. Don't rock onto your big toes. Keep your little toes heavy. Another 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. Ooh, well done. Take the band away. Okay, now lift one leg. If your hip allows it, you're going to come into this position. Now, if your hip doesn't like that, you can adapt and bring your leg lower down, but you'll want to hold it. So if you're happy to get your leg this high up, by all means, hold on where you need to and just lean into it. So if you're not happy with your foot there, bring it lower down and again, lean into it if your hip won't permit it. Just lean into it and just see if you can very gently press that knee away from you. Just open into your hip there. It's a bit spicy, it's a bit bitey to start with, because they've just been working really hard. Okay. And gently does it. Come back up. Now, what I want you to do is take hold of the back of your leg, stretch your leg out long. You can lean back now if you want to, and lift. And just a couple of point and flex. I haven't got my trainers on today. They're sitting outside the door. I forgot them. Great. And relax. Let's go to side two. So, option to be up here or a little bit lower if that's better for you. And then lean into it. And again, just very gently press that knee away from you. Well done. Breathe. Let everything relax. Okay, coming back out of it, taking hold of the back of that thigh, stretch your leg out long, lift your leg, point and flex, you're stretching through the back of the thigh. Good, 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 but also obviously into the shin and the calf. Now, bring that foot down. Let's do this one more time. Take your knee towards the floor and work on opening through the front of the hip. So as your knee drops down, push your hip underneath you and think about pulling this hip forward and up. So lengthen out of the front of the hip there. And come out of it. Let's go to side two. Drop that knee down. And if you are somebody that spends hours and hours seated, this is a fairly discreet and very effective way to release. You look at the length of my hip flexors on this side versus the one I'm stretching. You can see that sitting, they're always short. So this is a good way just to get into those, lengthen them out a bit. Okay, bring that foot back in line. Take your legs a little further away, only as far as where you feel completely safe and balanced. And let's come into roll down. Take a little nod of your chin, reach forward and down. So please make sure that the chair is safe. If you don't think it is, then it's obviously come up to standing and do a standing roll down, of course. Roll yourself back up. Carry on and take both arms up to the ceiling. And I want you to drop one hand down behind you and pull the elbow back. Feel that stretch into the back of the upper arm, into that triceps area. Bring your arms back down. Let's go into that roll down again. Chin tucked in, reach forward and down. Roll back up. Carry on. Take both arms to the ceiling. Opposite hand, drop it down behind you. Pull that elbow back. Feel that stretch there. Okay. Just open your arms out wide, thumbs on top, and pull your hands right away behind you. And relax. Let's come up to standing. So as always, this is a reasonably short stretch. By all means, go and find one of the stretches in the Strength collection or the All Levels collection to do a little bit more. Otherwise, it's a side bend. We have overrun by a couple of minutes, so just conscious of time for everybody. Up and over. Totally my fault. Back to the center. Roll out your shoulders. And that is week 4, everybody. Well done. Always feedback. Any questions? I'm always really happy to go over it with you. There are so many different ways to adapt and change it up and down. So anything you're not sure about, I know it's a recording, but do always let me know. Otherwise, try and do this one twice more before I see you next week. Well done.